Follow the money. That's what I always say. You always follow the money.
Yeah.
This is Follow the Money with Mitch Moss and Pauly Howard on VSiN.
Welcome in. We are live in downtown Vegas. Circa Resort and Casino is the spot. Coming up in 15 minutes, Major League Baseball, best and worst ROI teams in that sport. Wes Reynolds on the program coming up bottom of the hour. Lifelong Pacer. Or now as they're calling him on social media, yes, sirs. So we'll get his thoughts on Game 5 tonight.
Another one, too. I had to jump in. I took 5-1 on Ben Griffin. He's doing it again. He's the first-round leader. He's 7 under.
Yeah.
I mean,
5-1 to win the tournament?
Yeah. The guy's made over $2 million in the last couple weeks.
Not bad.
What he's done. This is an incredible story where he gives it up, loan officer. He gets backed by his buddies, and then he's been a machine here.
You want to look at his odds next week or 2 weeks from now for the U.S. Open?
Yeah, not bad.
Guy on fire like that?
Yeah. Top 10s, top 5s. Yeah, right.
Okay, so good show today. We've covered a lot, by the way. Paul Bovey, pro sports bettor, lifelong Knicks fan in New York, not going to go to the game tonight, though. He said that he doesn't want to go to the funeral.
He's always positive.
He is.
He's gloomy Gus now.
He is. I thought our conversation with Chris Bennett 30 minutes ago was outstanding from Circa Sports, why he loves booking the Colorado Rockies, and also he's the guy who comes up with most wins in June here in Major League Baseball. All this stuff on the Follow the Money podcast. Get it wherever you get your podcasts. And also Adam Rittenberg on college football. I'll give you a tweet on college football here in a minute. But what are you seeing for a proposed trade in the NFL?
The Miami Dolphins are talking to the Steelers about Jonnu Smith. He didn't show up to the OTAs. The Steelers' interest is rooted in Art Smith's long-standing relationship with the tight end. Art Smith was Jonnu Smith's tight ends coach in OC in Tennessee. Last year, he had 88 for 884. He was awesome. He's a target monster. He's only behind Bowers, McBride, and Kittle in receiving yards by a tight end. Trading Smith would mean the Dolphins could enter the season without 4 prominent veteran leaders from a year ago. Campbell, Armstead, Ramsey. And you saw what he put on social media, likely a goner. And now this, and you don't know what the uncertainty of Tyreek Hill. Oh, boy.
So since the schedule came out, a lot of people have made the case that their favorite win total bet is Miami to the under.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Jonnu Smith, have been for many, many years. He was awesome last year. And I got to tell you, I mean, Jonnu going to the Steelers and then Rodgers getting there as well doesn't hurt. That would be, 2 pretty big additions that we're talking about, because Rodgers to the Steelers, I'm pretty convinced is still going to happen.
I also don't. I asked you a door 1, door 2. I'd rather have Kirk Cousins
than Rodgers.
Yeah, Rodgers was terrible when he was in there until he played well against Miami to close the season.
I think terrible's too strong.
He had some bad games.
Yeah, but he also had some good games. I don't know if Kirk Cousins is ever going to be the same guy. I don't think Kirky works out very well, but I also don't think the team's really not what's their ceiling this year? Best case scenario.
Kirk had some big games though before he got hurt.
Yeah, but he
got hurt. The Charger game was awful. That's the game he got hurt though.
Okay, you can take him. I don't want him.
All right, fine. But okay. So back to what you said though. If Rodgers is the quarterback and you have Freiermuth and you have DK and you have Jonnu Smith and always a good defense, not bad.
9 wins?
That's not bad. They always find a way to do it.
Can they get to the playoffs?
Regardless of what Bradshaw said. I know it'd probably be a 1-year thing, and that's it, but that's pretty good.
All right, a little college football here as well. We were talking about how that the landscape of that sport, it's not even going to look anywhere close to the same, to the sport that we we've grown to love for the last 100 years. This is from Russ on X. You can always tweet the show at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Pauly Howard. Russ says, unfortunately, the playing too many games argument no longer applies since the players are getting paid, don't go to class. Everybody else that was making money without paying players before, we are grabbing it all for TV money. They can grab theirs as well. He's probably right. Probably right with that.
Yeah, but who wants this? We always talk, yes, we want a playoff. Yes, we want to expand. The perfect number was always 8. Why do we have to go to 16? And how many teams realistically could have won it this year?
Because now they
year in, year out, how many teams can win it? Sure. Can you really make the case that, oh boy, this team got screwed? They left out. They could have been dangerous, and they were 8-4 and ranked 17th.
Well,
or 14th.
So there's a team that might have. Let me give you this scenario. Let's say a team from any conference, they have a guy who's like a complete stud at quarterback, and he gets hurt in week 1, and they proceed to go 8-4 on the season. The backup does a pretty good job. That guy comes back in time for the postseason.
I know, but regardless
Case
of what,
for that?
Yeah, but regardless of what the Florida AD said, then the committee would take that under consideration. They would do the right thing. They'll factor in an injury and say this is a different team, and then they'll put them in.
Well, isn't it funny the way it worked, though? They were saying for years that they don't want to go to a playoff. They're okay with the BCS. They're okay with the bowl games.
I know.
And now they have realized after the last decade that, oh, wait a second here, we can make how much money?
It took
how
forever
many zeros at the end?
It took forever to get the 4. And then after 1 year of this, we're gonna go get to 6, likely to 16.
Right. And so the people who are in charge of that, and there's also this, right, the NIL, so which should be a totally separate category, but they're probably realizing, oh, this is kind of expensive now. We got to pay our players, and the payrolls are going to be $40 million or whatever it is. So we need as much money as possible here to be, put the best product on the field. It's. Well, better get used to it because there's no slowing it down. Clearly I was joking to Adam Rittenberg earlier when I said, why don't we just go back to the bowl games? That's or the BCS. Come on. They would expand rather than ever shrink it back down or consider going back to 4 games. Like that's lost cause now.
You have to be nervous. I have no idea what these guys could do. And everything that you read, and Pat Forty will be fired up tomorrow. He was at the meetings. Every idea seems to be absurd. And it goes back to the Big 12 and the ACC have to stand up for themselves as well. But I just think the best way to do it now is just go 1 through 16, seed them, and get rid of conference title games. Mm-hmm. Just do that.
We'll ask you, by the way. Love to get your reaction. The email here is ftm@vsin.com. Again, on X at VSiN Live, at Mitch Moss Radio, at Pauly Howard. We're a betting network, betting show. You're a betting audience. Do you care what is happening in college football? Does this impact you? Do you hate it? Because you're also, one would think anyway here, like lifelong sports fans, and you grew up watching college football before you were betting on it. Or is it just like, don't care, want to get my bets in, I want to make money, and that's it? Because I thought Brad Powers yesterday on the show had a great answer, who loves nothing more than college football, has been doing this professionally for a long, long time. He said as a fan, he absolutely hates it. As a bettor, just give me more games. Is that like the most realistic, feedback that you're going to get from anybody? Probably. Mm-hmm. But, it bothers us as sports fans first. For, as many reasons that we've talked about so far today. And I get the argument's going to be, well, just as long as we have more games to bet on, then it's going to be fine. But what do you think about it? ftm@vsin.com, on X at VSiN Live, and Mitch Moss Radio, at Pauly Howard.
As I ranked them earlier, the 3 worst ideas, I would say a 16-team playoff. Also, the SEC and Big Ten guaranteed 4 spots every year. And then the probably worst idea is the play-in games. 1 plays 2, 3 plays 6, 4 plays 5. And then
the play-in games to me.
Yeah, that's when you get that scenario where Iowa could have made it last year. Then you're talking 7 and 5, and because you're looking at 6th-place teams here, and then because there's so many teams in each league, you have to determine who wins a 4 or 5-way tie, who gets in, and then that really waters it down and makes it silly at that point.
I think the play-in games is almost number 1 with a bullet.
Yeah,
as the worst idea. Hate them. It's completely unnecessary and forced, and really stupid when you think about it. The other one would be the conference title games. Again, why? And on top of that, and I've been saying this for a long, long time about the SEC, and what's the other conference? ACC? You got to go to 9 conference games. Enough already.
That's true. This just came down. Heather Dinich, ESPN. A 16-team playoff model featuring the top 5 conference champs and 11 at-large teams is gaining traction following the SEC spring meetings this week. Right. The next step in playoff expansion for 2026 and beyond will depend on how quickly the sports leaders can make a flurry of decisions. And the critical component is the SEC's choice between staying at 8 league games or moving to 9.
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off.
Yeah.
I did a 5+11 Twitter search during one of the breaks today, and the entire reaction that I saw is, this is exactly what the SEC wants. They want you to think that it's a good idea. And in the meantime, this means that they're going to get at least like 6 teams every single year. this will be their path to getting as many teams as possible, the 5+11 format.
Well, I don't know how they're going to, but they're not going to have more losses, though. That's how are they going to? I don't necessarily agree with that. Many have also said, and SEC AD said it, they'll go to 9 if we get guaranteed 4 spots.
Yeah.
Then we'll go to 9 league games. But you got to go to 9 league games. And then what Brian Kelly said, too, go SEC against Big Ten with how you do that.
I'll give you a prop bet that you should be betting every single year. Will the SEC or the Big Ten win the national championship? Put that prop bet up, make it with that whatever juice you want to bet, and just fire away on the yes. How? They have a stranglehold.
Yep.
What is Sweeney going to be able to get Clemson back to? People like them this year. You can have all the Clemson that you want.
I saw that. They've had a couple good months. Yeah, I'm with you on that. But it also goes back to how many new teams are we going to get in there? I mean, under what scenario now does Ohio State, Oregon, Georgia, Texas not get in Notre Dame?
Oh, it's got to be a disastrous coaching job.
You're going to have to lose injuries. 5 games. I know. NBA Finals almost here. Join our partner, ProfitX, offering the best odds all playoffs. ProfitX, peer-to-peer sports exchange, available in 40-plus states. You can make your picks against other groups of fans rather than against other books. Exchanges guarantee you the best odds on average by 10 to 20%. You can even request your own odds. Download ProfitX today, code VSiN. Get that $200 in profit cash.
Tonight's Major League Baseball schedule up next, along with the best and worst ROI teams in that sport here on VSiN.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Welcome back. In 15 minutes, Wes Reynolds on the program. Get his thoughts on Pacers-Knicks Game 5 tonight. Grew up in Indiana, lifelong Pacers fan. Is he optimistic about their chances of closing out the series tonight? We'll get to ROI teams here in a minute, Pauly. Best and worst in baseball at this point. I like Vlad tonight, over 1.5 total bases.
Yep.
Cheap number.
Don't mind the Blue Jays either.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the A's here now have lost 13 of 14.
Yeah,
Good
they
God.
have that going for them. And Vlad has reached base 28 consecutive games. He's gone over the total bases here a bunch here in recent games. So minus 105 territory for over 1.5 total bases. Take a shot on that. I'll do that. What do you have for best and worst ROI?
All right, King of the Castle, Detroit, almost up 10 units now on the season. $100 bet every game on the Tigers. You're up 988. St. Louis, number 2. Cubbies, number 3. Guardians, 4. And the Phillies actually just passed Cleveland with the win of Game 1 of a doubleheader. Down 30 units on the Rockies.
Yeah.
Hey, they hung in there. That Gordon kid was good again. But they're 9-47 and 3-25 on the road as they got swept by the Cubbies.
They hung in for, 2 of those games against the Cubs?
Yeah, lost in extra innings and then lost by 1 run.
That's right.
And it was a great discussion with Chris Bennett. Go back, listen to the podcast, and also we'll put it out on X about, hey, I can put the number up whatever I want. So, I don't want to hear these bookmakers complaining about we're getting buried with. And he finds it. It's funny. He finds it every day. What's the spot where the Sharps will come in and take Colorado? And it's usually 280, and it's sweet spot.
Right around there,
what happens as well, too. So down 30 units on the Rockies. Hello! Baltimore down 18-26. Oh, boy. One of the worst teams in baseball. Who saw this coming? I hated the rotation going in, but I didn't see this, and they already fired their manager. Wow.
Honestly, Paul, the win total, we should have our heads examined. It was 88.5.
Yeah.
It's easy to say now. We didn't like this team entering the season. 88.5 wins to begin? Come on.
Yeah. Okay. Third worst ROI, Atlanta. And then Pittsburgh. Top ROI for pitchers, Robbie Ray, over 8 units. The Giants are 10-1 when he starts.
He's having a phenomenal season.
Job in Detroit, up 8 units. He's 9-1. Numbers courtesy of Covers.com. They do risking $100 with their criteria. Cal Quantrill, up 7 units from Miami.
Okay, you're kidding.
Even though they're 6-4.
Okay, so he's been a huge dog on those
huge
6
dogs,
games pretty
and
much.
He's bad enough. Sonny Gray, St. Louis is 9-2 in his starts. Sonny Gray also 9-1 to the over. lively.
And yet they've won that many games when he starts?
Yeah.
So he's getting the run support every time out?
Yeah, look that up. Yeah, take a look. At the bottom, well, more Colorado Rockies. The Rockies are 1-10 when Freeland starts. Down 766.
Yeah, but what's every pitcher for the Rockies has to have...
Sensatella's 2-9.
There you go.
Yep.
Marquez?
I know. I thought, isn't he 2-10?
He's on the list somewhere.
I'm looking for him. Cannon's 1-8 with the White Sox. And a plethora of guys are at 3-8. The totals, I mentioned Sonny Gray. Kikuchi was good last night. He was 9-2 to the over. Now with the 1-0 game, make it 9-3. Ben Brown.
He just has. I mean, he walked 100 guys last night. That was his biggest problem.
Okay. Ben Brown 8-1 to the over for the Cubbies. I have Pauly 10-2 to the under. I have Evaldi 9-2 to the under. I have Haney 8-2 to the under. Bassett 9-2, and Rodon 9-3, all to the under. Texas now 24-6 to the under in home games. 39-17-1 on the season. Minnesota 33-18-4. Kansas City 35-20-1. The Mets 33-19-3, all unders, and the Cubs are 32-19-5 to the over. There you go.
All right, very good. One more baseball note. Tomorrow we have David Sampson on the program. Great podcaster, but he ran the Marlins for almost 2 decades.
Oh, great guest. Always brings it.
I'm just seeing this right now on X. That I think it was on his podcast today. He guarantees a Major League Baseball lockout will disrupt the 2027 season. No real gambling notes there, but just to throw it for a loop, I guess, coming up in a few years.
All right. Looking forward
happen.
to that. I also have Joe Ryan 8-0 to the under. And as I look behind me as well, and we see if the Pacers can close it out tonight, more on that coming up with Wes Reynolds. Game 1 is up at DraftKings. OKC is 9-233, OKC against Indiana. The best price if you have OKC future tickets, the no is 5-1 behind us here. That no on OKC, if you got those futures. They would be $8 at DraftKings series price. How about the Pacers plus 2.5 games plus $1.15? You saw a better number. That's at DraftKings.
No, I think better numbers might exist at some point.
Okay, and Westgate has $7.50 series price if it's going to be OKC in Indiana, and that would start Thursday if the Pacers can wrap it up tonight.
Reminder on X from VSiN and Follow the Money listener David, who is a diehard Oklahoma City fan. The Thunder 29-1 against the East this year.
Oh, really?
29-1, and
Well,
I can't get over now how they're killing every team at home. The one fluke would have been Game 1 against
That's
Denver.
right. So that's what you have to overcome. And then it's a great position to be in. But these people in the audience who have the 100, 125, and the 80-1 tickets, they've won every home game but one, the choke against Denver. They're plus 231 in 9 home games. Won by 51, 19, 43, 7, 36, 32, 15, and 30.
And, Paul, they allowed 9 points in the first quarter last night. This is on the heels of allowing 8 points in, Game 4 at home to Denver in the first quarter.
God, so disappointing. The thing was over 5 minutes in. It's like, I know they're very good, but it's like, can you make anything? Are you coming with any intensity? Ant, I don't want to hear after the game, wait to see the work I'm going to put it in the offseason.
I don't care. It's just, don't even say it.
And then you're 1 of 7 from 3 again, too.
I'd rather have not even talk to the media. Just go home. Don't even say it. That's
Yeah.
stupid. Please stay away.
Yeah.
You don't have to make that comment. I got to say, at the first round, and we talked about this at the same time, we thought it was better than March Madness. Every night, 2, 3, 4 NHL and NBA playoff games at the same time, and the games were exceptional. Since... And I would say going back to when those upsets stopped in round 2 of the NBA playoffs, NHL and the NBA have been pretty weak combined.
Well, I can't imagine this has happened.
I can't either.
In the NHL, you can't get a close game in the NHL playoffs?
Puck lines are covering every single game. What is it, 19 out of the last 21 you said?
19 of the last 21. 2+ goals. 9 of the last 10 playoff games, 3+ goals. And that's why Jonathan Davis is betting both teams on the puck line and cashing every single night. And tonight, in the Edmonton game, You can take Dallas plus 185. You can take Edmonton plus 280. 10 in a row and 19 of 21. You got to go back to Winnipeg-Dallas Game 6. And the other thing, when Dallas loses, they go big.
Well, and don't forget...
and all their losses have been by 3+ goals.
Keep that in mind. What happened in Game 4 in Edmonton? It's a 2-1 game. And with 3 minutes to go, they're like, get him out of there. Get Ottinger out of there. And the Oilers tacked on 2 empty net goals in the final 3 minutes. What is it, 2:45?
Yeah.
Thereabouts?
Yep. Well, rooting for you tonight. Hope he can get it done. Skinner in closeout games. 5-1 with a 1.97 and a 920 saves percentage. Yeah. And since, if you take out that third period, it is 16-3. Edmonton in the other 11 periods of this series. Dallas has 2 goals in the last 3 games. Come on. It's right here for you.
Well, the biggest abnormality of the entire series was absolutely period number 3 of Game 1.
Yeah. Power play, power play, power play.
If they don't go to the box like that, we might be talking about a sweep here, Paul.
Yep.
Right? Because they were up 3-1 in that spot, and I thought that they, for the first 2 periods they were clearly the better team. Skinner was good, and then it was just the team picked up stupid penalties to the box, one after another, and it was an avalanche at that point. Yeah, they've been the better team.
Yeah, the Hyman injury's big though too, and I don't know when he's coming back.
Touché.
That's the other thing, right? We're hitting the road. Come down, say hello. Live from Rocco's, June 12th through the 14th, the iconic home of the Jell-O Shot Challenge. As I understand it, we're broadcasting live from that room where all the Jell-O Shot Challenge stuff occurs. Moderation, please. Money Moves, Follow the Money, live from Omaha, June 12th through the 14th. If you're in the neighborhood, stop by, say hello. Special show Saturday, 9 to 12, local time. And that'll be a wild week. College World Series right across the street. NBA Finals, NHL Finals, U.S. Open, and Jell-O shots. And unbelievable pizzas, I understand.
For days, yeah.
That's right.
And the tournament gets underway tomorrow. A lot of action, man.
Yeah.
A lot of action. Omaha's good. I've been there a handful of times. It's been a minute, but I do recall when they were putting the finishing touches on the brand new downtown area when I was there. Fun spot. Good time. And for the College World Series, I can't imagine how fun it is. Indiana's own Wes Reynolds on the program next. His beloved Pacers are 1 win away from being huge dogs to OKC in the finals. We'll get his thoughts on the game tonight next.
This is Follow the Money on VSiN.
Huge Game 5 tonight back at the Garden. Knicks 4.5-point favorites at most books. There are some 4s out there. The total's been going back and ping-ponging the entire day. We'll get into that and more here with Indiana's own, VSiN's own, Wes Reynolds, lifelong Pacers fan, as he's on the Progressive Guest Line. How you feeling tonight, Wes? Pretty confident?
Cautiously optimistic, I think, would be the appropriate term here, because we know the knockout blow is the hardest one to land in this series. And I don't think with the Knicks, I don't think we're going to get a total no-show like we got out of Minnesota last night, where 2 minutes in, you knew the game was over.
Right.
That they had emptied the tank in game number 4. I don't think that's going to happen here, but I do wonder if the Knicks are a little bit out of gas. Not totally out of gas like Minnesota was last night, because it's tough to run with this Pacer team, and now you're starting to see the Knicks become a little bit of the walking wounded, similar theme to last year's Eastern Conference Finals.
And Wes, Pauly and I have been talking about this since before the series started. I didn't understand the series price. I thought the Knicks were way too big of favorites there. And then on a game-by-game point spread basis, what are we doing here? I mean, after the loss, you're going to bake in a little bit more on the Knicks because you think the desperation now have to have game 2, but for a long time they were 6.5 in game 2, lost that one. It goes back to Indiana, and they're laying 1.5, 2, 2.5, and now tonight back in New York 4.5. What is happening here? How are the Knicks sitting here with a higher power rating at this point than the Pacers?
Yeah, I think it's 2 things, Mitch. I think the desperation that you mentioned, but also the fact that the Trends have not exactly been the friend here in terms of the situation that the Pacers are in. But I always say use Trends as your acquaintance and not your friend. But they all go against the Pacers tonight. Teams up 3-1 on the road in the conference finals are 9-18 all time. since I think like the last 20 years. It's 21-31 against the number teams that are up 3-1 on the road. So that's a tough scenario the Pacers find themselves in. But the Pacers have been very good in the first half so far in the playoffs. 10-4 against the number. I think that they're going to have the energy right away. It may be a little nervous energy out of both sides. So I'm not going to play the total, but boy, I was leaning a little bit to the under here, especially in the first half. 109, I think, is out there pretty much market wide, couple 109.5s. Because I could see some nervous energy where they're wanting to get that pace going, right? And then you get a lot of these dead ball turnovers. You throw the ball away. And I think that that's good if you're an underbacker, because the Knicks, I think, even though they've been willing participants in a running game, probably don't want to do that here with the desperation situation on the line. So I think Tom Thibodeau would be very happy if this was a much slower pace game tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So what do you think about props from the Knicks standpoint and what happens here? And as we talked about, they've been playing games with the total all day. Cat with the injury, questionable. How many minutes will he play? What will he look like? And then what does he do with the starting lineup and how that figures into some Knicks props?
Yeah, and the one thing on Knicks props, Pauly, is the one guy that I think that does not get affected that much by this is Josh Hart. Because Josh Hart, of course, went out of the starting lineup, came off the bench in games 3 and 4. Mitchell Robinson has been the starter. He's still been around 20 minutes, that being Robinson. Because if you look at Hart's minutes, in game 3, he was at 34. In game 4, he was at 36 minutes. So Josh Hart, whether he starts or not, is going to play that same number of minutes, I think, tonight. So I went ahead and attacked the rebounds and assists over 13.5. It was 12.5, by the way, for game 4, and he only had 12. He had 11 rebounds and just the 1 assist. But I think you get the bump, number one, because they're at home, and number two, even if he does start, that premium's already going to be taxed in. So I don't think it really makes a difference as much. I think you're going to see him go above that, and the fact that you get a little bit of an adjustment here, but I don't think it's that much of an adjustment. So I didn't want to play the points necessarily because I don't know how willing he's going to be to shoot late, because one of the things that you saw that the Knicks did in game number 4, didn't take a lot of threes, actually shot better from a percentage standpoint, but took a few less threes because they were foul hunting, I think, in the third quarter. They were trying to get Brunson driving to the basket. I had him over 2.5 threes last time. He hit 2 right away and then didn't hit one the rest of the game because he didn't shoot from the outside. They were just trying to get, be the foul merchants and go to the foul line because they got to get increased number of possessions to keep up with this Pacers pace.
Okay, which other can we bank on tonight? I'll raise my hand and totally admit that I have had a major problem identifying the guys who are going to go off for the Pacers in this series. I've been saying it for three games now. I have the right guy in the wrong game. That's not a winning proposition. So is there a guy who you trust tonight, not named Halliburton or Siakam, that's going to have a good game?
I wonder if this is maybe a buy low spot on Miles Turner a little bit tonight, because he's been a little hit and miss this series. I thought in game number 3 he was terrible defensively because Karl Towns really cooked him in that fourth quarter. But, we might get a bounce back from Miles tonight if you want to play like over threes or perhaps over points, rebounds. He hasn't really been a great rebounder in this series because Robinson and Towns and Hart too have been really beating him on the glass. But that's the thing about the Pacers. It's a different guy every game. Like Ben Mathurin, that was a big talking point, how horrible he had been in this series. He was losing minutes to Ben Shepherd. They weren't trusting Ben Mathurin, and then they gave him a chance in game number 4, and he ends up scoring double digits, kind of scoring near his season average. And he was the guy that stepped up in game 1. It was Nesmith. In game 2, it was Pascal Siakam in the Garden. So it's a different guy every single time. So it might be Miles Turner tonight. And maybe do you sell off? And I don't know how willing I'm willing to sell off Tyrese Halliburton, but maybe the under points, rebounds, and assists here at 36.5. I think minus $1.20 out there. I don't want to play under the assist because even if he's not scoring, he's distributing the basketball. But sometimes you got to sell guys on a high, even though it's really difficult to do. But Tyrese Halliburton off that triple-double, of course, so he's not going to be priced any higher than he would be tonight.
How do you think they match up against OKC? And DraftKings has Game 1 priced as OKC a 9-point favorite and the series price $8.
I think that series price is too high. I think Oklahoma City should absolutely be the rightful favorite because they can do things to take away the Pacers transition game that that, the Knicks obviously have not been able to do. And Cleveland wasn't able to do it. Milwaukee wasn't able to do it. But Oklahoma City can do that. However, this is the first time for these guys where they, I think, really have the expectations, even though they've had the best record in the league all season long. They were never quite treated, I think, certainly by the betting market they were, but by the media, they were never quite treated as the favorite because they're talking about the Lakers and the Clippers and the Nuggets and every other team. And it's kind of like, oh, the Thunder are just there. They're a nice little story, but can they really do it in the postseason? And they've proven now that they can. So now they've got the expectations. And the Pacers are going to have no expectations because everybody's been going against the Pacers. People thought they were going to get beat by Milwaukee. They were going to get beat by Cleveland. They were going to get beat by the Knicks. And now the expectations have changed for the Thunder, but not necessarily the Pacers. If you're watching some of the national media today, the goalposts are moving for the Knicks right now. It's like Jalen Brunson's just been a miracle worker to get this team to the conference finals when everybody was talking about, hey, they're going to sweep these guys just a couple of days ago.
Well, the national media with the NBA coverage is all-time bad. And I say that I think every single year. It really is.
Wow.
The whole talk about Halliburton being first of all, who cares? And then
I know
the whole thing around it. So, and I said this like a month or so ago. Imagine if this Pacers team played in Los Angeles and they were called the Lakers, right? With their style, and do you think he would be a superstar then? Would this team be exciting? Would this be exactly what the NBA would want? Of course it is. So the fact that they play in Indiana, and another thing too, who's going to watch Oklahoma City and Indiana? You're not a sports fan. Mm-hmm. Just sit this one out. Knock it off.
People that like basketball will watch that series.
Yeah.
People that like basketball and like betting on basketball,
yeah, exactly right.
We all do. In this conversation, I hope that series happens because I think it's exciting for two teams that have kind of built this thing the right way.
Bingo.
These are not, free agent destinations. These are teams that have to build through the draft, that have to build through the trade market. And Sam Presti in Oklahoma City, Kevin Pritchard in Indianapolis have done it the right way. They haven't tanked. They've tried to win and they've tried to build it the right way. And that's what we all say that we want. And then it's like, oh, we don't have the big market team. Who cares? I don't work for Disney. I don't give a damn what the TV ratings are.
Same here. Never bothered me for one second. And by the way, both teams can thank Paul George, too.
Yes, they can.
For getting this far.
Yep.
Right?
You're the best golf guy out there. 60 seconds left. What do you think of this Ben Griffin tear in story?
It's amazing. This guy was a mortgage broker and almost quit the game a few years ago. And now he's like the hottest player not named Scottie Scheffler in the world. I have Morikawa right now is in second outright by himself at 5 under par. I'm going to stick with that. I think the scoring is going to be tougher over the weekend. You had some softness on the course today because of the rain earlier in the week, but this is going to be tough. 8 under was the winning score for Scottie Scheffler last year, 270 or 280, I should say. So he's still the favorite. He finished at 2 under, but yeah, this Ben Griffin guy, he is absolutely on a heater right now. And hopefully he doesn't stay on one because I'd like the guy in second to go ahead and get this home.
Yes, I would imagine. You can follow Wes on X. He's at Wes Reynolds 1. Thanks, pal. Good luck to the Pacers tonight.
You bet, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
There you go. And he was on the Progressive guest line. If they win this game tonight or the series, he's going to have to think about going back home for a game.
Yeah.
Right?
That's right.
Going to have to. Up next in Pocket Plays, and how good are the Thunder? Wait until you hear what Rick Pitino had to say about this team. Next.
To determine the winner of any given college basketball game.
Someone gives you 10,000 to 1 on anything. You take it. Take it. Take it.
I bet you $20 I can get you gambling before the end of the day. No way. I'll give you 3 to 1 odds. Nope. 5 to 1. Nope. 10 to 1. You're on.
All right. Sad to see Anderson go. 10 straight unders on his saves prop. As that came in again last night in the loss. That's a winner. And also the double. With the 33 to 1 ticket I had on the Timberwolves to win the West, I played Old KC to win Game 1 in the series. That's a winner. And, oh boy, Alexander Walker, PU, 0 for 8. Come on. Been so good in the home games. And
I actually think McDaniels was worse.
Yeah, a lot of good looks.
0 for 6 to begin the game.
Oh, they were terrible.
Had no chance.
Oh, more turnovers than made shots in the first half. My God. See if we can wrap it up tonight. Pacers 19-1 to win the East. The Exacta's a loser. Carolina eliminated. Cat, most rebounds in the conference finals. Halliburton, most assists, and that's going to be a winner, barring an injury, as you've been so good in the playoffs. I'm going to add Ben Griffin. I took 5-1. I think he can do this. 2-shot lead after the first round, and he cashed first-round leader. And I'll back Jonathan Davis here. He's got like 12 plays up for tonight's game, playing both teams on the puck line again, as that's hit 10 in a row. I'll go Robertson for Dallas over 2.5 shots, plus 135. Over 1.5 is like 210. Depends where you shop. Good luck, everyone.
I am anxiously awaiting for June to arrive. May has been ugly. McCullers was a winner yesterday, over 5.5 Ks. He had a dozen. That was plus 158. I have to admit that bad job by me. I forced those bets in the WNBA. I'd say the same thing if they would have been resulted in wins. Boston with the rebounds, no good. Erie Offend, same thing. A lot of rebounds, but it was spread around last night. Forced them. Dumb. Don't do that. And that's a mistake by me, and what a fitting way to close out the month of May here.
Yeah, she had a good game.
Overall, yeah.
She's going to get to 10.
These two bets would actually save my month. Tigers most wins in May, 16-1. They have to have a Phillies loss tonight. I'm not so confident it's going to happen with Wheeler on the mound. And Josh Hart to lead the Eastern Conference Finals in rebounds, plus 550. He is 6 back of Towns. So has to have a monster performance in this game tonight. And I'm playing him anyway. I'm adding more Josh Hart, over 8.5, minus 140. He's had 3 different double-digit rebounding games in this series. Cat's been awesome, but he may not be close to 100% tonight. So I'm going back to war with Josh Hart in this game.
Yep. And I do think Brunson goes over his point prop tonight, too.
Big number.
Based on, it is. It's 30.5. But with Towns, who could be limited, I think he has a huge game. Certainly the shots will be there.
Sure.
Smarter bets start with VSiN Pro. Now's the time to join. You got until Saturday night. Lock it in. 14 months, just $199. 2 extra months free when you use promo code PRO at checkout. Less than 50 cents a day for every email in the morning from Bill 80. Every best bet, every host, every guest, the betting splits, DraftKings, and Circa, the dog videos, the replays on the VSiN Watch app, all the podcasts, the Mackinnon, betting trends and breakdowns, all the picks, every sport. It ends Saturday. Don't miss out. VSiN.com/subscribe, promo code PRO. Sign up now.
It's pretty strong. Rick Pitino on X. I'm surprised he only has 119,000 followers. I would have guessed before I clicked on his profile that he has 500,000 minimum, probably a million, too, whatever. Here's what he tweeted out earlier this afternoon. He's pretty high in the Thunder, let's just say that. He said, "It's interesting. In my 40-plus years, I have never shown clips to my teams of NBA defense. Offensive sets and individual moves, but never defense. Until this past season. We watched the Thunder at least 3 times a week. They're switching, loading up to help, and rotations are awesome, and they are still so young."
Yeah.
That's pretty incredible, man. He thinks, and the defense, the numbers actually tell you that it bears it out, right? That historically speaking, they're that good. And the margin of victory and the net rating overall, 68-win team in the regular season. Like I said earlier, though, even if they win the title, if I'm a team like the Bucks, maybe, name a handful of teams that want to get rid of a superstar, I'd call them. I would have that.
I would I know. I wouldn't. I would not do a damn thing though if I'm Presti.
Yeah, I would,
because you have I rattled it off earlier. All those picks they have coming up.
Right, but see, here's the thing: they're not going to be able to sign all those players.
Yeah.
So they got to do something at some point.
Yeah.
I would have the Nico Harrison, Rob Pelinka coffee. I would.
Yeah.
Come on, Giannis. What do you think about him, Sam?
I'd like to see him go to New York.
Well, that was pretty.
But that was.
You don't like.
I don't agree with these guys that it could be crazy in the offseason. I don't think it.
You don't agree with Shams who's saying it?
No, I don't think it's going to be. Well, he's reporting what he's hearing, but I don't think. I think those people are wrong. I don't think it's going to be. Oh, you'd be blown away, and it's just going to be nuts with the offseason movement. Now, the first team that comes to mind is Boston, because of what the caps, how much they're going to have to pay, and the other thing would be it appears Durant's a goner too, and we'll see if there's other big moves.
I think it's going to be chaotic.
Houston, I would think, would be involved to do something. Houston has to trade these young guys and get a stud.
Yep. They're one team. Durant on the move?
Yes.
Maybe the Suns break it up completely. Break what up? I mean, call it whatever you want. They're big three. I love that. I don't know if they're going to run it back. Durant, I think, is going to be a guy that could go somewhere else. I think the T-Wolves, right? They're looking. They're not going to be the same team next year. A couple of those guys are probably going to be on the move. Here's what the Timberwolves have to do, and that's back-to-back embarrassing performances now in the Western Conference Finals. They need another trade that was at the level of the Rudy Gobert trade, and I don't know if they're going to be able to pull something like that off. Also, my buddy who loves this team he lives in Minneapolis. He said they might let Finch go.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
He said he would not be surprised if he's a goner.
You're kidding.
He doesn't say it's a good idea, but he's like, just pay attention to that. It might be something to keep your eye on. He could be
new ownership.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Malone out there or somebody.
He brought up Spoelstra.
Oh, really?
With a new ownership, where it might make sense for him.
Would that be a trade? Isn't he under contract?
Well, others have said, "Hey, you want to go coach the best player in the world in Joker?" There's no. By the way, Denver can't run back their team. They have to do something. They have to get more help for Joker. Here's
yes.
I
don't think they will. They don't. The guy won't spend money.
Well, here's my. I'm willing to bet on this actually. I think that we're going to get several moves to the point where I'm going to want to make a future bet next year on a team to win their conference and you got to be ahead of it. You got to be with the breaking news the second that it happens in order to make a bet because these books are so fast to catch it and bring it down. But that's what I believe is going to happen. I think we will have a handful at least of scenarios where it's going to be like, oh my God, let me make a bet right now. Hopefully I have time to get it done.
Denver missed their chance and ruined it with missing the prime of his career.
Sure, and now they're stuck behind OKC.
Yep.
Have fun catching that wagon.
Yep. Oh, I know. They can come back and say they were close, but certainly OKC played some dreadful ball offensively on the road. But
I'll tell you this.
Yep.
Zach Cohen here at VSiN, he's convinced the Spurs are going to trade the number 2 pick.
Really?
Yeah. And he thinks
that could get Giannis.
Yeah, sure. They could bring in a superstar there.
Can you imagine Giannis and Wemby? What that would look like?
What is it? The modern day Ralph Sampson and Hakeem Olajuwon?
Well, that's the thing too, and that's why it sucked for many reasons. Why Dallas got the number 1 pick, but again, all these guys are going to the West. No one's going to the East, and then you could have Giannis leaving the East and going to the West.
Oh, that'd be wild.
It's tilted. Got to even it out. Keeps happening. Teams that are winning the lottery, and then where the star players are going.
I think that's been happening. Yeah, you're right. In the Western Conference alone for a long time here.
Well, they've been a disappointment, but you saw Ja to Memphis, you saw Zion to New Orleans, Wemby to San Antonio, Dallas gets the number 1 pick, so Flag's going to Dallas. If Freak leaves, he could be going to the West, Houston, San Antonio, with the assets.
Those Texas teams, all of them, you're right. Another one, Golden State, probably not going to be easy with how their salary cap is structured. That has been a team now for that owner. I was living there when the owner took over for that team. He's no nonsense. He wants to win. He knows the window and what it's like with Curry.
Yep.
When Curry's 37 years old. When he goes bye-bye, that franchise will not be close to what it's been. They love success. They love winning championships. I would not be surprised if they do something in the offseason.
Pat 40 tomorrow on the college football mess, and also David Sampson. He's excellent every time. But not crazy, but a strong opinion on what could happen in the future of Major League Baseball. Following us, VSiN Primetime, Matt Humans, Will Hill, Circa owner Derek Stevens in studio to talk all things Circa contest. Stick around, cashing out. Scott Seidenberg starting at 11 p.m. Eastern, and wake up tomorrow, VSiN by the books, Dave Ross at 7 a.m.
Yeah, strong show today. Great guests. If you missed any of this, you can go back and listen wherever you get your podcast. Just search for the Follow the Money podcast. Paul Bovey, lifelong Knicks fan in New York, but not going to go to the game tonight. Said he doesn't want to go to the funeral. Adam Rittenberg on college football. And at 5:30 today, we had Chris Bennett on. I would urge you to go back and listen to that. Bennett runs the sportsbook here at Circa, and he said that he embraces booking the Colorado Rockies on a daily basis. Everybody else complaining about it. Oh, we're getting beat up. Not him. Go listen why. I thought it was a great conversation.
It was.
That's it for us. Good luck with the bets tonight. We'll see you.